The second pick will be made by the Washington Wizards, and that means that the number one pick in the 2024 NBA Draft goes to the Atlanta Hawks.
What is going on? Why did the dice roll this way? Why do the Atlanta Hawks have the first pick this year? It makes no sense. They should be rebuilding. They should be shipping Trey off somewhere. They should be sending DeJounte Murray onto better times. Send him to LA. Send DeJounte Murray to the Suns. Get KD. You're not going to win, so it doesn't matter. I'm so sick. Hello. Welcome back. My name is Matthew Gray. This is Stats and Stories. Obviously, today we're going to be talking about who I think is going to be drafted where and giving you a little insight, in my opinion, of what this was exactly as far as a lottery. A surprise to me. 3% is what the Atlanta Hawks had. 3% to get the first pick. Look, it only stresses me out for one team and one player. But to start things off, I don't want to overthink this. I think it's pretty clear. I mean, you trade DeJounte Murray, you get some picks. I think the consensus best quote-unquote player with like the highest ceiling and the highest floor is going to be Alex Sarr. But the Atlanta Hawks are in a position to deal DeJounte Murray for future while maintaining the fact that they have, I'm not super high on him, but a potential star, a two-way game changer in Alex Sarr. He's 7'1". He can move the ball. He's strong. He's shown upside of shooting. I'm not super high on his shooting. Him and another guy in this draft we'll talk about a little bit later. But I do think that the two-man game between he and Trae Young could be phenomenal. And it's like a perfect scenario for a guy like this who's going to be playing this role for his entire career, hopefully, where he gets to play alongside a really solid guard who can put the entire team like on his back. And then in the nights where Alex Sarr kind of disappears because he's going to be in his rookie year. I mean, what is he, 19, 20 years old? Doesn't matter. I do think this is the perfect situation for him, especially compared to where he could have gone with like a Detroit or like a Wizards. He would have been my choice for the Wizards if they got first, but this is not a terrible draft like everyone is saying it is. I think it's going to be one of the better drafts, to be honest with you. I mean, none of these guys are really looking like perennial all-time greats. But that doesn't mean that these guys aren't going to be all-stars one day. A lot of them are going to be stars. And I also think that in general, that the bigs this draft have been looked down upon for some reason the entire time. And it's like, guys, what are we talking about? What are we talking? Are you watching the ball? Are you watching the game? The Wizards are in a beautiful position where they have nothing really going for them. They, of course, have the really, really good wing and Denny Avdia. They have Bilal Coulibaly, but other than Jordan Poole and his terrible contract, they don't have a lot to really deal with. Obviously, they have Kyle Kuzma, who would somewhat affect a role like Zachary Richichet. I don't think that you're going to get the value you would want for a Kyle Kuzma on the market if you're trying to trade him. Do we move Kyle Kuzma for cheap and get Zachary Richichet? No. Get Donovan Clingan. You need defense. You don't have a center. You traded away Gafford. Your other guy, is it Vucevic? Is that there? Come on, guys. Obviously, you picked Donovan Clingan. But in a real way, Donovan Clingan, he's 7'2", 265. He's elite on defense, at least around the rim. We'll see about his perimeter defense. I think he could be serviceable. He's a little heavy-footed. He's not like a Chet or a Wemby. Obviously, that's not what we're looking for at this spot, but I think he's going to get you 12 to 14 points a game. Think of him like a Zubats with way higher defensive upside. That's kind of where I see him fitting in the NBA. So with the Rockets, this is going to be where I have a moral dilemma. Whether I lie to you guys and tell you what I think is going to happen, or I fib and we go with my mock. Now, I'm not going to tell you which one it is because then there's no fun, and then there's no out for me. I'm going to lie to you either way, depending on what happens. But I think there are some clear options here at the 3 spot. No, we're not just going to go with highest talent because I think that they have enough talent in some of these spots. So now I've been looking at the Rockets for a minute, to be honest with you. They're a very interesting team. They have Fred VanVleet on a 3-year, $130 million contract. That's not that great for Fred, but it's a similar situation with the Wizards when it comes to that Kyle Kuzma contract. Like, nobody's going to give you the value that you need for that player. So Fred VanVleet's going to stay. He's their point guard. This is where my confusion comes in. Let's say you want to go with a high upside guy, right? Rob Dillingham is your man, right? Are you going to stunt Rob's growth for 2 years for the upside that he'll have in year 3? If you are, that means that you're going to send him to the G League, basically. Like, is Rob Dillingham G League talent? No, he's not. He's way better than that. And then if you want to keep him on the team, even in year 2, you're going to have to sit Fred at some point. Are you going to have a guy who's making, $40 million a year sitting? So you have to look around, you have to see like what else could work. So if you look at the other side of the positions, you're going to see the offense being ran through their center, Alper Sengun, and you also have at the 2 spot, Jalen Green. I mean, what do? You do have Tari Eason, who isn't terrible, but then you also have Jabari Smith Jr., who's clearly one of the key pieces on this team. I think that you could sit Tari Eason I mean, it's not a terrible idea. You have Fred VanVleet and Jalen Green at your 1 and 2 spot, respectively. I mean, it's not a terrible lineup, to be honest with you. So I'm going to go ahead and go with Zachary Richardson. Ladies and gentlemen, the Spurs have landed the nearly perfect position. Now, here's the thing. I'm just going to be honest. I'm not high on Nikola Topic. I don't know how to say his name. I'm sorry. The shooting's just not there, guys. The shooting's just not there. I don't think that we need some like high IQ. We are overcomplicating playmaking. If you have personnel that can make plays, you do not need to get a guard that exclusively does playmaking. That's exactly what Nikola Topic does. You know how everyone is saying Alperen Sengun is mini Jokic? Nikola Topic is mini Alperen Sengun, okay? I do think he's going to be a great player. He's 6'7" at the point guard position. He can handle the ball well. He's a dominant downhill player. He just cannot shoot. I think this guy could easily average 15 and 10, 15 and 11 a game, but there's no reason to when any confident guard who's going to respect Victor Wembanyama and his height and his dominance around the rim can average 8 assists a game. They just can't throw the ball that way. What's happening on the break? Throw it that way. Don't know where Victor's at? Throw it that way. Think you might miss? Throw it that way. What are we doing? So because of that, I'm going to pick what I believe is the most obvious stud in this entire class, which the 6'2" guard out of Kentucky coming off of the bench should have been starting. Rob with the shifts. Rob Dillingham. He is coming in at 4. Why? Because we have an 8th pick. Guys, stop tripping. And it's all right. I know what you wanted. I know what you wanted to see, but you're not going to see it, guys. I'm not going to fold for you. And again, with the 5th pick, the Detroit Pistons, who I think for the 3rd year in the row got the 5th pick with the worst record in the league. Crazy. Or something like that. I don't know the quote. We're getting not their guy. Zachary Richardson would have been my guy for them. Tall, really good at defense, can shoot the ball. Boom. That's all you need. That's all you need. But again, I do not want to overthink this. What does Detroit need? Shooting. Do they need any wings? Not right now, unless they're going to be a shooting wing, and we don't really have that except for in one guy. I'll be honest with you guys, I'm really high on Dalton Connect. He plays just like J-Dub. He's 6'6", a little bit shorter, not as strong, but he can handle the ball. He can get to the rim. He can jump out of the gym. He can shoot the lights out of the ball. I mean, fully contested stuff, dude. His jumper form does not change regardless of who's in his face. It does not matter, whether it's from the mid-range or the 3, but he's a specialist at the 3, it seems like. So, truthfully, I think Dalton Connect could work on almost any team, but I think the safe option here is to go with the young, crazy high shooting upside, JJ Redick potential, Reed Shepherd. I mean, come on, guys. 53% from the field, and the majority of his shots were 3, but he was efficient at the rim. He could pass the ball enough. He has 4.5 assists coming off of the bench. What are we talking about, guys? Absolute stud of a shooter. A little short, but he's not bad on defense. He's a pesky defender. The same way I think Rob Dillingham is going to be really, really effective on the San Antonio Spurs. Reed Shepherd, I think he's going to come into the league, immediately have an impact. I don't think it'll be long before we figure out exactly who Reed Shepherd is and how effective he's going to be in the NBA. This might be the most interesting pick in the entire draft to me. I think everything else is pretty obvious, or it's like whatever. This is very interesting because, of course, we know that LaMelo Ball is a point guard. We have Brandon Miller, and then, of course, Mark Williams, if he's healthy. The back injury, they said at first wasn't going to be that big of a deal, but he ended up being out the entire season, and there's still no timeline to what's going on. I think this is a really good time to think about who LaMelo Ball really is, and what his play style is. Who did he grow up playing with? One of the better passers in the league when he's healthy? Lonzo Ball. What does Lonzo do? Pass the rock. And what does LaMelo do? Score the ball. Why are we pretending like LaMelo can't play with a point guard? Why don't we move LaMelo to the 2 and draft Nikola Topic? You have a guy who's downhill focused, clearly has great ball IQ, and has a good sense for passing. He can't really shoot, but you have LaMelo Ball and Brandon Miller, who are both looking like they could be great. I'm talking about averaging 40% in a season, 43% from 3. And now your lineup is looking like 6'7" at the 1, Nikola Topic, 6'8" at the 2, LaMelo Ball, 6'10", Brandon Miller, and then you have 7'1" Mark Will, and then you just got to find a 4. Ugh. And the great thing about the Hornets is that if they want to size down and really dial in on defense, and they want to run that like LaMelo run the offense ball, you just bring in Trey Mann. He had like 4 games where he had 3 or 4 plus steals. Dude is playing great, and he can pass the ball too. Their guards are set up if they draft Nikola Topic. Portland Trailblazers, again, this is not a great position. I think they're set at the guard spot. I don't think they need to really worry about anything, even if they're planning on getting rid of Anthony Simons, which I think they should, just so they can try to redeem some draft capital in the next few years. Not redeem, but, add on to. But in this spot, it's kind of strange because they have Scoot Henderson, who was playing really well at the end of last season, and then they have Shaedon Sharpe, who's their shooting guard, and I don't really think you're going to get much more potential out of anybody else in this draft. Trailblazers are in a cool position where they do have some time to develop players. I don't like Modest Buzelis here. I don't like Dalton Connect here. I don't think they're going to utilize him the right way. I don't like Stephon Castle here. I don't like Ron Holland here. I think he would be my next option, but he doesn't show shooting, and that's clearly a thing that they being the Trailblazers need. So I'm going to go with Cody Williams at 7. So, with the master plan unfolding almost perfectly, but not quite, in my favor for the San Antonio Spurs, we have a ton of options. We have our scoring guard. We have Devin Vassell. We have Victor Wembanyama, which is 4 players in one, really, on the court. But what should we be looking for at this position? The Spurs obviously are in desperate need of defense. I don't think that's anything revolutionary to say, so I won't harp on it. But they also need shooting, but they don't want to be undersized. Now, initially, my first instinct was you pair Rob Dillingham with Stephon Castle alongside Devin Vassell, but that's just way too small of a lineup, especially around Victor. Quick thought exercise here. Imagine an offense with Rob Dillingham, Devin Vassell, and Dalton Connect all sitting at the 3, waiting to throw the ball as fast and as hard as they can to the top of the backboard just for Victor to go up and grab it and throw it down in the hoop. And if they don't pass it, it's because they're shooting, and Victor's just going to go get a rebound. I can almost guarantee that Victor next season is going to average like 25, 14, and 4 blocks. Probably like 6 or 7 assists. It's gonna break fantasy. I'm so glad that I have him on my team. But if you don't like Dalton Connect, I could definitely understand and see them going somebody like a Ron Holland. A Modest Buzelis pick wouldn't offend me at all. I'm kind of a fan of him. In this position, this is my mock draft. This is who I would pick if I were them. I would be going with Dalton Connect. And just for some context, I know that I said that Stephon Castle was a little small. I'm aware that Stephon Castle and Dalton Connect are the same height, but their wingspan are so clearly vastly different. It would not surprise me if Dalton Connect has like a 6'9", 6'10" wingspan. It's definitely in the positive. If he said it was 7 foot, I believe it. That's a lie. But 6'10", I could see it for sure. This kind of makes me sick. Here, to be honest. You know, I don't want to overthink this. They're either going to keep Triple J at the 5 and draft Ron Holland, or they're going to take a bid and get Zach Edey. If they don't get Zach Edey, it's because they're going to go for somebody. Where is he? That means they're going to go for Izmis here, Khalil Ware. I don't like this. I don't. We know what Zach Edey is. We know who he is. We know that we're not going to get the best defense out of him, but at the end of the day, he is a 7'2" He's a 7'4", 306-pound, 22-year-old who averaged 25, 2, and 12 on 62% true shooting. He's a multi-sport athlete. He played baseball for a long time, so his hand-eye coordination is there. Do I think he's going to be an elite shooter? No. Could he be like a Brook Lopez and shoot once or twice a game, and then 1 in every 15 or 20 he has a hot day where he shoots 4? You know, like, could he do that? Maybe. For that reason, at number 9, it's really high for a lot of people. I just don't know where else. They have so many good players at this point. Like, they will make the playoffs next season. I'm telling you. I'm gonna go ahead and just draft Zach Edey. That's where I put him. I think he makes the most sense. I'm not going to overthink this. I think this is between 2 guys. It's either between Isaiah Collier or Stephon Castle. I really like the idea of Keontae George being their primary scorer and being at the 2 guard spot. He can obviously facilitate, but I think he's so dominant as a scorer, giving him a little less responsibility to run the offense will definitely help out the team. So I don't think this team is in desperate need of any one thing. So at the 10th spot for the Utah Jazz, I think I'm going to go with Stephon Castle, the 6'6" defensive-minded guard out of UConn. Whew. This is a toughie. Got to trade DeRozan. They have a point guard. I like Kobe White. I think he's decent. Trade DeRozan. Modest Buzelis. That's my pick. I think their 2 options are going to be Ron Holland and Modest Buzelis. I think Modest has the higher upside, to be honest with you, as far as shooting. I know everyone's super high on Ron Holland, but I just don't see it in this position, so I'm going to go ahead and go with Modest Buzelis. Wow, this one's kind of crazy. I like Khalil Ware and I like Izmis, but I think that they can just get a better big somewhere else on the market and still maintain a really good position, because I think Ron Holland would up this team's ceiling like crazy. He has Timberwolves level defense. It's absolutely crazy. I don't think he's going to be able to shoot the ball that well, but he's definitely better at getting to the rim than Josh Giddey. So if you have 3 downhill guys, yes, it closes the floor out a little bit, but, you know, Jalen Williams can shoot for real. But that just means that when Shea is on the floor, J-Dub just has to almost exclusively operate beyond the 3-point line because he can make those shots. And then when Shea comes off, J-Dub will fill in for that role to do everything that he wants, whether it's drive, kick, score, doesn't matter. In this plan, they're moving on from Josh Giddey, just letting you know. With the 13th pick, I'm not going to complicate this. What do they need? What do they have? What do they want? I'm telling you right now, Jared McCain should be 13th going to the Kings. It would be beautiful, gorgeous, immaculate for this team if they got a shooter like Jared McCain, especially with Malik Monk more than likely leaving for a big-ass contract at the end of the season. And with number 14, the Portland Trailblazers will be selecting with the last pick of this video. Ugh, I hate everything here. I hate everything here. It's not great. I think I'm going to roll with Tidon Salon. I think he has he has a ton of high upside, plus he's 6'10". He can kind of fill in for those DeAndre 8 minutes. I don't think that they are in need of any other position in particular, especially with the earlier pick. But that doesn't mean that this is like the best option. I don't know what the Portland Trailblazers should really be doing. Their team isn't constructed very well, and it's been made very clear that defense is a genuine issue. So I don't know which route they want to go. Unfortunately, most of the guys who would fit in this position are kind of off of the board already for them. Definitely not upset with the idea of Tidon Salon going here. But I also just don't think that there are a ton of really good options for a lot of teams. However, there are a lot of guys below this point who are going to go to a really, really good situation and have a really, really good chance of having a solid NBA career. And that's kind of all you can ask for. I'm not looking for a superstar. We got a lot of those last season and a ton of them coming up next year. With this Sunday's draft lottery happening and the Atlanta Hawks shocking everybody and making me confused as to how and why and what and whatever. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. My name is Matthew Gray, and I'll see y'all later. Peace. Okay, 2 little bonus ones. I'm definitely going to have 15. And then at 16, I'm going to have Jacoby Walter. Crazy talented 2 guard. Love to see him next to Tyrese. That'd be crazy.